Welcome to the Monday morning coffee version of the Round 1 Supercross review show here. Billy Rainford, Greg Poisson sitting here. You know where we are? We're at the Little Beaver in Kamoka, Ontario.
The bustling metropolis of Kamoka.
We're out on a bike ride, so it's a little bit of a, not a walk and talk, but a pedal and talk. But yeah, so we're sitting here, we're going to talk about it. Was round 1 of the Triple Crown Series Supercross Arenacross. This was technically the Supercross portion at Gopher Dunes. Round 1, just Saturday night. Lots of stuff to talk about though. Man, there was it was not without stories. But first, I guess we got to talk about the track, the setup, and everything. What did you think of that, Greg?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. It was definitely a lot bigger than last year. Dig and Vision built the team there, because I think Vision built the track, but obviously Dig was heavily involved with it. And the whole team at Gopher Dunes was considerably bigger than last year. I think like a third again bigger than last year's track. It was a bit more Supercross style with a couple of rhythm sections. The small section of whoops, nice Supercross triple. It was good. They found out quickly on Friday that the lights weren't going to be sufficient, but that's kind of a trial and error thing. That's like they made a good effort. I think they had like 10 lights on Friday, and then they found that it was just not going to be enough. So they brought 4 more for Saturday, and it seemed to be pretty sufficient from everything I've heard.
Right, yeah. As I was driving into the track on Saturday afternoon, coming up, I got behind a truck pulling another set of lights. I'm like, oh, good, because we saw, like you said, the night before, could use a couple more, some dark patches, but they got that solved, and that was good. I was, like you say, the track, very Supercrossy. I mean, it was pretty basic, but there were sections where guys could separate themselves, do something different.
Yep.
A little triple here and there, a little triple over the sand section, the triple into the big triple going into the whoops.
Yeah, that's actually we'll get into that, but there was definitely some guys that couldn't get that triple out in the corner at some laps, and somebody behind them would, and they gained a fair bit of time. So it was cool to see that, right? Somebody mess up, or some guys aren't comfortable tripling, but other guys were. It was just like a back and forth.
Right, it was a seat bounce triple, the first one. Like before the triple was like a pretty heavy seat bounce. A lot of guys coming up short, but still gaining time. The whoops were kind of, they were pretty big. They were short. There weren't many of them, but it was enough to kind of tempt you to go for it, which I thought might have caused some problems for guys. So some guys just said, no, I'm just going to try doubling through them. The top guys obviously made it look pretty easy, but yeah, that's what I thought on that. Yeah,
I mean, they were definitely a topic of conversation coming at Saturday practice and qualifying, and then obviously Cole went through them and made them look pretty easy. Same with Mitchell, and then obviously West and Gibby and all those guys kind of dialed them in pretty quick. But there was definitely some pretty loose moments throughout the week, or throughout the night there.
And the size of the bank turn they had after it, we were all joking that I think you could clear the sea cans if you whiskey throttle.
That was the one, and just the one thought I had going into it. I said that's a big berm for what could possibly go wrong after a section of whoops. But other than that, I mean, I thought the track was pretty cool. That was just the one thing I thought, hey, that's pretty big. It was about a good 10 feet high. And, it was like a launch and over you do a Superman over the sea cans.
Nobody did, fortunately, so that's good. But yeah, so what they did is they did 250 Pro, 450 Pro, which you could ride your 250 in as well. And then they did a super final, so the top few guys from men met up in the final, ride what you brought.
Yep.
The super final did not count for Triple Crown points, so that affected a couple things that we're going to talk about here as well, of course, but it was separate from it, so just kind of a super final for the fans and everything like that too, to get guys out on the track again. Speaking of the fans, man, there were a lot of them.
Yeah, there was a lot of people. I noticed we were based on the GDR truck this weekend, the Barry Honda Powerhouse team, and it was just I could see that we were right by the entrance, and there was tons of people coming in. I knew they weren't racers because they were wearing cowboy boots and wearing their, some they were all dressed up for Saturday night in Tilsonburg. So, but there was a lot of fans. It was good because I know that from talking to Dig and the crew there that they get a lot of people on for these events, like their mud fests and different things. So it was good to see like actual paying fans, not just cruising from the back track on Frank's property to come out for a Saturday night of Supercross racing. Yeah,
and we're not just talking about the little grassy knoll that everybody would expect. They brought in 2 big portable bleachers, and those were full.
Yep, yeah,
so that was good.
It was awesome to see people. Like it was like 2 or 3 deep on the grassy knoll, and I was the second gunman on the grassy knoll, as they say.
What, you saying there was a second gunman?
Maybe, but
anyways, it was a magic bullet.
Yeah, but there's tons of people, and it was great to see. So obviously, that's a solid turnout, and it's good to see people support the sport and Gopher Dunes in general.
For sure. And like I kind of said in our, I did a little photo report kind of thing through the stuff, put it up there earlier today, and I wasn't expecting, because, you know, we heard like some of the factory teams, like the KTM, they weren't going to be showing up. Some of the rigs weren't going to be there. I didn't have high hopes, to be honest with you, with the quality of the racing, but a lot of our top guys showed up, so I was very impressed with that.
Yeah, it wasn't, there wasn't huge numbers, but the quality was there, I thought. It wasn't a huge, you know, drop off from like second to third, or third back kind of thing. So there was some good quality racing, some good battles too. Like there was some good racing.
Good battles and stories that are going to carry over for the rest of this series too. Like, you know, that's going to happen. I mean, a couple of them we knew going in something was going to happen. And of course, I'm talking about Tyler Gibbs. We know he gets aggressive out there. He wants to be up there for the wins. We knew Cole Thompson and Mitchell Harrison would be the guys to beat.
Yep.
Tyler said, you know what? I want to be in that conversation. So he was going to do whatever he had to get in there.
Yeah, he... I mean, I got a ton of respect for Gibby for just going for it and not just saying, hey, I'm just going to settle for third or battle for third, whatever it may be. He knew he wanted to go for it, and, you know, he ultimately paid the price.
Twice, kind of.
Twice, yeah. You know, he paid the piper, but he also, you know, he went for it. I said to Andrew and Simsy, I said, hey, man, I got a ton of respect for that. I don't like guys saying, oh, I'm just going to settle. He wanted to go for it, and he went for it, and, you know, lay down the line. So hopefully he's okay. I heard it may be a bit of an elbow injury, but not 100%.
Yeah, I haven't followed up on that, but that's what I heard as well.
Yeah, I don't think he's out, though. I think it's just a little bit. A good thing there's a break.
Right. But so what we're talking about, okay, the 250 Pro main, they get out there. Tyler took Cole Thompson up high into one of the early berms, and kind of Cole let up, gave him the spot. Well, next lap came around, Cole kind of finished the deal and took him down. So Tyler went down, ended up at the back of the pack, had to come charging through, and it also slowed Cole down a bit too, because he had to keep fighting to try to catch up to Mitchell Harrison in this one as well. But yeah,
I mean, it's if you watch any US stuff, it's those guys, that happens all the time, every lap. You know, these guys getting away in a hot lap or whatever it may
certainly
be.
Getting stood up.
Yeah, it's racing at this point. I don't think Gibby's going to say anything different, because he you know, he's going to do the same thing. So I don't think there was any bad blood there. You know.
There will be. Oh, there will be. We haven't seen the last of that, of course. Come on, let's get it going.
Yeah.
But so Mitchell Harrison was able to get out front. Talking about the 250 main here, he got out front. Cole it was a bit of a gap. He came chasing. He was closing on Mitchell.
Yeah. Last
corner, boy, talk about that.
You don't leave those guys both know you don't leave the door open in any sort of indoor style racing, whether it be Supercross or Arenacross. They both know it, and Mitchell knew it was coming. You know, but he went for it too, and it was good to see it, like last corner, you know, last ditch effort. Nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. You know, they're used to it, right? So it was Cole was definitely on it. He had to come through. There's a very, very small difference between the two of them in lap times, but Cole was coming. Slowly but surely.
You know what I thought was weird too is, like, you mentioned that not much difference in the pace. Once the guys, like, should mention Weston Rosina in here too. He went the podiums, all three of them are the same: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
With Weston, well, they weren't actually. I guess Mitchell Harrison won the first one. Sorry, but same three guys. But once they kind of spread out, they seemed to stay. So like I say, once Weston they gapped a bit, Weston seemed to be holding their pace. I thought he looked pretty good, and then the two guys out front kind of seemed to hold their paces just too. So it was weird. But yeah, like you say, Cole got up on the back of Mitchell Harrison a few corners early. I thought it was going to come, but then there's a really flat turn, so a very slippery turn into the last section before that corner. So Cole lined it up, went outside, and just cut across. And Mitchell went across the transponder line, but didn't go over the jump. He circled back around, came up over just to make sure, so the worst he could do was second in that. So he didn't know what happened. Cole on the podium said, I didn't see him cross the finish line, so he thought he'd won it. The guys, you know, Daryl, Murphy, and Paul, they put it under review immediately. Came back, they gave it to Mitchell in the end, because he did cross the transponder. But
that's what counts, I guess, at the end of the day, right? It's not so much, it's not the old days where the checkered flag. It's with the, you know, the new age of transponders and technology. That's what counts. And typically in indoor racing, it is at the base of the finish line. It's, you know, always up for review, but yeah.
Which is why at a lot of finishes you will see those guys tuck the inside, and then just even trying to do a fast lap in qualifying, you just got to get the transponder line. It's not necessarily the showcase jump, which is for us photographer people. But yeah, so yeah, like we say, there were some other good, you know, Wyatt Kerr doing his first Supercross stuff. He went down in that first turn, which honestly I think it might have been a good thing, because talking to his dad throughout the day, it's like, listen, he kept telling him, Wyatt, this isn't a race. You're just getting some time on the bike, practice, get out there, get used to Supercross. There's a bit of that, a lot of that.
It's always good to see someone who's, you know, like these local Ontario guys or local wherever they are, go out and just try it, not be scared to go out and do it. And why he didn't look great at the first practice, free practice, which is to be expected, and he got better throughout the day. I'd give him, you know, from round one, he's the most improved for sure.
Yeah, for sure. There was a few guys in that case. Also, 146 Tanner Scott coming out, just a recently turned pro. He was doing the same thing. I mean, he's a guy obviously we know has got tons of skill. These guys really pick it up fast for sure. And,
yeah, Tanner looked really good actually. I watched him a few times. Caught him throughout the weekend, and you know, started tripling in, doing the triple and stuff like that, which was kind of, you know, standard. And but he nailed it, and for having such limited indoor experience and pro experience too, he looked good.
Yeah, and it's obvious we see guys who don't do it much on these indoor style tracks. The bike is kind of taking them for a ride, you know what I mean? They're kind of hanging off the back, but at least those guys, they managed to get up over the front. They stayed in control of the bike. They didn't make any crazy last second decisions, which causes all kind of troubles in these tracks, and they looked in control. Really good. I don't know if we want to talk about all three different things, but just a couple little points here. Some really good battles between that. We had Western Rosina, Guillaume St. Cyr, and Quinn Amiot were going at it there for a while too. That was a nice battle.
Yeah, it was a good battle, and Guillaume really focuses on the indoor stuff. He does the indoor style, I should say. He raced in the Quebec Supercross series, which happens throughout the summer. He won that, and you know, he was up there. I thought, you know, maybe he'd be a little bit higher up, but you know, he just couldn't get the start, I think.
Yeah, and a guy we haven't mentioned yet, but I definitely want to mention him in the 450 main for sure. Ended up 4th place overall. I was very impressed with Preston Massey riding.
Yeah, Preston looked really good. He hopped on the PRMX bike. They had a bit of a mechanical in the 450 main. Well, before it.
450 qualifier.
450 qualifier, sorry. And
didn't get a lap in.
No, but thankfully he was still able to race, and yeah, but he's doing well, and he's had a lot of experience in the States as well to riding those indoor style tracks. So I think he'll do better going forward. Sarnia is Arenacross style 4 lanes as opposed to what we had this weekend, which was 6. So he'll do definitely a lot better. And I hear he's going to be staying with PRMX hopefully for next year, which would be nice to see the kid get a break, and with our friend Julian.
I think he's really developing. I mean, he's a kid obviously we've watched come up through the amateur ranks. Every amateur national I go to in the States, be it Texas, Florida, wherever, they were always there. Came up through the ranks. I slipped under the radar the past couple years, but now looks like he's ready to make a statement, and he looked good. They had to do some major bike work, and poor Preston. I went up to Preston, just keep your heart rate down. Yeah. Don't freak out. Let them do the work. They got there late to get up to the first 250 Pro Moto because they were doing the work. I think he started in the second row kind of thing, so he had a bit of a thing there. So he was a bit stressed, but made the best of it and ended up 4th in the 450 main.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely going to do well, and he's kind of gone through a pretty serious growth spurt over the last few years. So
yeah, he looks like a different kid.
Yeah, he looks like a man now, not a little kid. So yeah, he's doing really well, and you know, he looked comfortable out there.
Right, and we should mention too, we got to talk about the situation with. Now it was 450 class was Mitchell Harrison and Tyler Gibbs.
Yeah, Gibby, you know, he puts it out there, and he expects to get it back too. So it's, you know, maybe his defense isn't 100%, but these guys go for it. So you tee someone up and don't complete it, or you got to expect to have it back. So I mean, like I said, I got tons of respect for Gibby for going and going for it, and you know, yeah, Mitchell took him high right after the mechanics area.
Because before that,
didn't take him high, took him out.
Because Tanner took him into a corner and actually cut Mitchell's hand up a little bit. And then Mitchell said in his podium speech, he said, I had to let him know that kind of riding isn't okay.
Tyler, not Tanner.
Sorry, Tyler.
Yeah, Tyler.
Yeah, sorry.
Tanner Scott is innocent in this.
Yeah, sorry about that, Jim. Don't come at me, Jim. But yeah, sorry, talking about Tyler Gibbs. Sorry about that. But yeah, so then so Mitchell Harrison. Obviously, these guys, if you're going to pick on 2 guys, I mean, they're the fastest guys, so you kind of have to. But you're going to have to expect that they know what they're doing and are probably going to finish the job if given the chance. So yep. Mitchell finished it. It actually took that's the one that took Tyler Gibbs out. So that was tough. But so that gave the 450 class. Cole Thompson, talk about him on the 450. My goodness, how good. He had a Supercross suspension on his 250 and not, I think it's his brother's 450, is it not?
No, it's his brother's 250.
Other way around, I'm sorry.
The bike is bone stock.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I think he had a pipe on the 250, but it's bone stock other than that.
Okay.
450 is more of a race bike for him. So I you know, I'm not involved in Cole's program at all, but I hope that he races the 450 in Supercross, because that kid looks good on a 450
It was incredible.
indoors.
I mean, He got great fuel mileage too, because he was not over revving. He was just cruising, hitting everything perfectly, just landing. Yeah, it looked great.
We used to joke about Ryan Derry getting fuel mileage out of his bike. Right. I think Cole has got that done. I mean, gas is expensive these days, so.
That's right. And in this one, we were just talking about Preston. Preston had Guillaume St. Cyr all over him. Held him off, and again, a very experienced Supercross rider in Guillaume. I know Guillaume was working on a suspension on Friday, so I'm not sure he was perfectly dialed in, but you know, maybe he doesn't have the bike quite where he wanted it. But either way, Preston looked great holding him off. He held off Quinn Amiot for a long time. Just really good rides. We had some other good battles back there. We had your guy, Daryl Zecca, out there fighting Zach Zager.
Yeah, Daryl. Yeah, it was good. It was kind of like a couple different groups of guys. We had the front two, and then we had a kind of a mid-group with Weston, Guillaume, Quinn, those guys. And we had kind of the back of the pack, and there was some good battles, though, between those guys like Daryl and Donnie T. Donnie T will race anything, anywhere. You know, he's a journeyman racer, and I got a lot of respect for Donnie. Just same bikes, just changes sprockets and turns the clickers in. And he was out there, and Zager with a bone stock bike that he had about 2 or 3 hours on.
Just got it.
Yeah, so good to see those guys out there. You know, Dario rode well and got better, and you know, it's not indoors isn't really his thing, so
no, for sure. Big smile on his face, loves it.
Still the nicest guy in the pits.
Absolutely. We're not going to turn the page to the super final until we talk about Weston Rosina, Quinn Amiot.
Yeah, that I happened to see that whole thing from beginning to end, from a couple corners before, and you know, I knew it was going to happen. Well, I didn't know it was going to happen that hard, but you know, it just coulda, woulda, shoulda at any point. Could have Quinn, you know, checked up? Yes. Could Weston not have gone in so hard? 100% he could have. But you know, they're going for racing. They're two young kids that are racing they're on teams. They got good bikes. You know, they both have some indoor experience, and they're just going to go for it. Quinn looked really, really good.
He did.
Weston at one point looked a little tight and wasn't really gelling with the track, so Quinn was all over him. For example, over the triple, before the bigger triple, Weston wasn't getting it a few times, and Quinn was nailing it every time, catching right back up to him, and it was.
Weston was probably afraid to go wide though to be able to get it. Maybe right?
Yeah,
like
you know, and they both know, and I think eventually after, you know, give them a few days to cool down, they'll both realize they would have done the same thing to each other, but they go way back, and hopefully they realize that it's just racing, and you know.
Weston came right out and called it a bonehead move. He was very apologetic. I interviewed him after the race, and we walked across in front of Quinn's pit. I go, "Have you talked to Quinn yet?" He goes, "Oh no."
Weston's smarter than that, and he knew to give him some time. I talked to him right afterwards, and he was pretty wound up, but he knew he kind of screwed up, so it's all good. I mean, if they didn't know each other like they do, they've known each other since they were kids. You know, would he have gone even harder? Who knows? But
yeah, so it did take that incident did take Quinn out of it. He said like rat hose got ripped off.
I think it was rat hose. Yeah,
it got ripped out. It was steam everywhere. I know Blake Hall helped him push the bike back and stuff like that. Quinn was a little disappointed, obviously, but Quinn's a good kid. He's been there. He'll be back. And you mentioned he might be your pick for surprise of the event, maybe most improved. Or
I'd say I don't know if I'd say most improved, but definitely the surprise, because I knew he was going to be good, but I didn't know he was going to be that good. You know, I'd say I'd probably give it to Wyatt as most improved from first lap to second lap.
Yeah, that's true.
First lap to end of night, but Quinn was definitely my surprise because I didn't know he'd be that good.
Right, because we expected the top two guys, and then Weston, I think, is what we expected.
100%. I said, or Guillaume. I said
or Guillaume,
Weston or Guillaume going in for third, and Quinn was a solid fourth, third guy. Like, I think, you know, had that not happened, he might have beat Weston. Who knows?
Yeah, no, and Weston was pretty quick to admit that it looked like Quinn was faster than him.
Yeah.
He said right out, Quinn had more speed. Quinn just needed a start to get up with those top guys, and it might have been different, but he closed. Then he was out, and then Weston got back on the track, and he was right in front of Preston Massey, and Preston stuck with him, and they were really close right to the finish.
Yeah, Preston rode really well, so that's the best way to put it for him.
Yeah, okay, so then they do the super final. We didn't mention Daniel Elmore really, but he's riding with that bad ankle. It's really bad.
Yeah, he was pretty beat up. He was under, so the Barrie Honda Powerhouse team got to pit out of the GDR rig, thanks to Dig for that, and in Braden. And so they had the full setup. It's cool for those guys, cool experience, right? They're you know, it's always neat to have that experience. Something they may not get to do. So Daniel was with us as well, so I kind of helped Daniel a little bit throughout the day, and his brother as well. I didn't catch his brother's name, unfortunately, but yeah. Daniel has ice on his ankle, and it was a lot of pain. So I'm super happy he toughed it out and did as well as he did.
For sure, but then because, like I mentioned at the beginning of this, the super final doesn't count for Triple Crown points, Daniel said, you know what, I'm going to give the ankle a break. I'm not going to line up. So he didn't come out for the super final.
Yep.
Tyler Gibbs wasn't there. He was out, and 43, your guy Daryl had a flashlight on his fender.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse because you know, but yeah, he had it was just kind of something he wanted to do. You know, what's the best move? Probably not.
I think he needed a wider angle on his flashlight.
Yeah, he could maybe turn it a bit.
Yeah, he should have turned it a bit. It was a little too pinpoint.
But, you know, it was funny at the time, and, you know, we all do things maybe we shouldn't have done, but it's all good. Hopefully it wasn't a great look,
let's not apologize too much. He was quick to point out that it was because he has bad vision and at the best of times.
Yeah, no,
night vision's pretty bad. So I mean, it wasn't, you know.
No, it wasn't a dig at anybody. So it's just he thought about it and he just went for it. So hey, whatever's pretty funny. I know Frank Schuster had a pretty good laugh at it because I was standing right beside Frank during that super final.
Frank liked it.
Frank thought he was in the woods. He said he's out there in the woods. He's doing a 24-hour. It was pretty funny. So yeah, he thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, brake lights too? I didn't see the...
No turn signals.
Lights. No, okay. All right, so super final got out. Whole shot went to Mitchell Harrison. He was on his 250, of course. Cole Thompson got by him on the first lap on his 450. And they were pretty good, but Cole did get a bit of a gap on him for sure in that one.
Yeah, it's funny. I always think that 250s are a better choice for a lot of guys indoors, especially not someone of Cole's caliber because he can really ride the 450 well. But I think Cole on the 450 was a pretty good advantage. And I mean... He was gone, and it was just super smooth. He
made it look so easy.
Yeah, he's about a foot lower than everybody else on the track, and just lugging the bike. It was pretty cool to see. And I haven't really watched Cole other than a few outdoor appearances he made, and then and even then that's a different style. Cole really comes into his own indoors, and I mean I'd be dumb to bet against him.
He's still got a story to tell in AMA Supercross.
Yeah, there's still something there. He's still young.
Absolutely, and I hope he can make more happen this year.
I really hope he rides. I don't think he's really ridden a 450 indoors, and I hope he does it because I think it's more his style. And we'll see. Hopefully, he maybe gets on a team or something. I don't know. I just think there's a lot more for him there, and the best of luck to him going forward.
Right. So we had obviously a couple nice little battles in there. Again, Preston Massey trying to hold off Quinn Amiot. Quinn finally got around him. That was a good battle. Then Preston had to deal with Guillaume St. Cyr.
Yep.
Held him off, and then actually at the end there was a bit of a space between them. So again, I keep mentioning Preston, but I was really impressed with this young guy, so I'm really happy to see him do well.
Yeah, Preston really rode well. He definitely looked pretty comfortable out there. He's one of the first guys to do the triple, triple out of the corner, and then the bigger triple before the whoops. And he looked really good there, really smooth, take some chances too. So,
and another guy I want to throw out there too, Tyler Shuchuk. Good for him, coming out of there from, I think he's from Hamilton area, number 52 out there. I was having fun watching him on Friday practice. Yeah. He saw me standing there at the finish line. He was the only guy hucking whips every time almost, so he was having fun.
He's a photographer's dream.
Young kid, just trying to get out there. I mean, obviously he wasn't out there to win it, getting some, I'd like to see more people out there doing this, getting out there, getting some experience on a Supercross track in a race situation.
Yeah, and everything I heard, I think that was a good experience for a lot of guys because it wasn't super gnarly. There was a lot of forgiveness in some of the sections too, and I mean, you could see guys that were out there were just, like Donnie, for example, with just cranked up outdoor suspension and a bigger sprocket in the back. He's still making it around, right? And
if you do the rhythms, you can get away with, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Arenacross style might be a bit different, but this track, you could have done it with, you know what I mean? If you get the rhythms, just double the triples, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Some of them. But yeah, so I'd like to see more guys out to some of these things for sure, but although we're going indoors next, so that could be a little trickier. But
yeah, Sarnia's going to be, like I said earlier, 4 lanes, traditional Arenacross. Right. It's going to be tight for sure. Right. I think it's going to be more of a 250 style track. Because it's going to be so tight, but it's in a couple weeks just after designations. So.
Okay, hey, one of the only guys we haven't mentioned is another one of your guys, Ryan Daryl. We kind of touched on him getting good fuel mileage kind of joke, but what happened to him? He had a bit of an off night.
Yeah, Ryan just seemed to, every time he was on the track,
he was our most improved Supercross guy last year.
Yeah, he was, and he deserves it, and he's kind of I don't want to give him the pressure of a staple, but he's definitely a top 5 to 7 guy, 5 to 8 as I always say, but he just seemed to have mechanicals, like a couple issues, just things out of his control and just like freak stuff, right? I know that the air filter popped off, which is, you don't hear that very often, and it just happened. It was nobody's fault.
It's the first time I've heard it.
Yeah, and luckily he wasn't racing on the traditional Gopher track. He would have sucked sand, blew the motor. But yeah, just little things like that. And Ryan, going forward, I think he'll improve. He is more of a technical guy. I'd say he's not like a wide open outdoor style guy. So he likes to ride the front of the bike too. So. I think, going forward, he'll do better, and I believe he's going to do all 3 rounds. Calgary is what we're talking about, getting him out there. So
excellent.
Yeah, so I know Triple Crown's offering some bike shipping. I haven't heard much more about it since initial talk, but that's really awesome of them to get guys out there, and that's a huge expense taken off, right?
Yeah, for sure, and that'd be good, because hopefully we can talk more people into taking them up on that. Again, Arenacross, and there's a couple tracks maybe that aren't going this year that were in past that are a little tricky to to get guys practice on and stuff like that. So guys are building their own small tracks in their yards and that kind of thing. But it is a bit trickier than it has been maybe in the past couple of years to get a little bit practice. But hopefully we see more guys out at these in the last few rounds. But okay, so we talked about the podiums were all the same. 1-2 interchange in the first one. Top 3 guys were the same. Obviously the rider that stood out to me was Preston Massey. I think I've said his name more in this little video than I have in a long time. But how about you? Who stood out?
I'm gonna give it to Quinn on that one. Yeah. I think Quinn was, like I said, not most improved because I knew he was gonna be good. I just didn't think he was gonna be that good. Really rode well. You know, it's a pretty, as I say, and I always joke with Benny, his brother and his mechanic, that he's got a bit of a loose program. Manlock runs a tight program, but him and Benny just going at it.
On a personal level, they're a little looser.
A little bit personal level, but you know, Benny's there to have a good time and takes care of his brother, and Quinn's there having a good time too. So I like to joke that I think Quinn and Wes had a disagreement about who had nicer hair, and that was it. And hopefully they kind of bury it. But yeah, Quinn for sure, 100%. I'd say surprise of the night, most improved goes to Wyatt Kerr for me.
Right.
Actually, I'd almost put it to him or Tanner.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Tanner was quite looked a little tight at the beginning and definitely rode well. He looked composed and he didn't look scared. So I'd say Tanner or Wyatt for most improved.
I think they both used their heads and didn't go in with a whole lot of pressure and do anything stupid. I think they were smart. They did what they got some laps in and got used to the track, got used to Supercross.
Yeah, no, I'd say it's definitely...
The fact that they're not in a cast today
is awesome. And I think Tanner raced the next day on the backtrack. So, I don't know. I think Wyatt did too, actually. So I think they're both,
So they were probably, again, a lot of guys were doing the final AMO Ontario Provincial race the next day. So a lot of guys maybe kept a few guys away, obviously.
Yeah.
Or they kind of took it easy because they didn't want to jeopardize their provincial stuff. So, so there's that. All right, I think we're going to see more from Guillaume St. Cyr when we get to the tighter stuff on the arena crosses, so I don't think we saw the true... You know what we didn't talk about? Tommy Dallaire, another guy who loves the indoor stuff.
Yeah, Tommy, Quebec is a really strong indoor style racing. Like they have, like I said, summer Supercross series. They got a strong provincial series, which I did. You'll see a report come out on that this week. I did a couple weeks ago. And, Tommy's always kind of good indoors. He's got a good style. He's always throwing the whips. And
likes to jump.
Good for, I know Isaiah and all those guys love him because he's always good for the Insta-bangers. But,
he's slow-mo him.
I know he's a good slow-mo guy. But, he had a big crash, I think, at 450 main. When triple, I think it was the second triple, he cased it and, big crash. He
cased the big triple?
No, sorry, of the triple.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I came up short, saw it, but he looked hurt at the beginning, and then obviously kind of straightened up his bike after he caught his breath and everything, and I think he continued, but big crash. Luckily he was okay because it was pretty gnarly.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I mentioned that because in my little photo report I put up earlier, I wasn't sure what had happened to him, and he hadn't put anything up on social media yet, so I wasn't sure what had happened. So it's good to know that now that I know what actually happened. So
hopefully all these guys do Sarnia, and they've got a couple of weeks now after to really dedicate to indoor style stuff, which I think is part of the plan, why they planned it the way they do, working with Galdi and stuff at AMO, because they do have one more race at Saint Denis. Sorry, there's one more provincial at Saint Denis,
I'm sorry.
Next weekend.
I guess it's west-east kind of thing?
Yeah, so the next one more provincial at Saint Denis next weekend, and then after that I think they have a banquet and stuff like that. So I could be wrong, but I think that's the schedule.
Okay, so next we have last weekend of the month, September 30th, October 1st, Sarnia. So that's next. It's a 2-rounder. Both nights, so that'll be good to see the 2-day event. It's a twofer. We got a twofer coming up. But anything else? I think, like I say, I was impressed with just about everything I saw there. The track was great. I was happy when I was a guy a joke kind of thing. Yeah, I showed up to ride the GP track, and wow, was it ever different? Showed up on.
I went to ride the GP track, and the Supercross broke out. But I shout out to Triple Crown, those guys, Kyle and Galdi and all them for Galdi. Galdi was there Friday for Triple Crown, then there I rode his practice on Saturday morning, and track was absolutely I'd say bitching down back, but it was really good.
Nice.
Shout out to those guys. And the Triple Crown did a killer job. They stepped up their game from last year, better track. They realized they had a lighting issue, stepped on it. I'm sure it was not easy, but hard to get a bunch of lights in the last
minute.
I
think they were smart to shorten the whoop section. Last year the whoop section was long. Julian Bennick was just looking incredible through it, but then there's some troubles and things. But this one is a little bit easier on the guys. Yeah,
and just shout out, like I said, Triple Crown and the whole Gopher Dunes team for running a really good program. And Diggs, he always laughs because he's so serious about his parking. But the pits look great, and those guys did a killer job. So it was a well-run event, pretty much on time the whole night, so you could run to the schedule. And mean,
I like how there was time for me to actually leave the track, come into the pits, talk to people,
Yeah.
and then wait for the next one. That's boy, if we could ever do that in the outdoors somehow, let's work on that.
Yeah, and hopefully
Nobody cares what I think.
Hopefully Sarnia gets a bit more amateur guys out there as well.
For sure, for
Because
sure.
amateur numbers were low.
They
but
were
that's
low.
to be expected.
Right, for sure. All right, well, the only thing we have left to do, man, we're about as far away as we can get from my place, so we have to finish up this bike ride.
Oh God.
Looks like we're going to miss the rain,
Hopefully.
but yeah, this has been a little bit of a review from round 1 of the Triple Crown Supercross series. Thanks for watching, and yeah, we'll see you in Sarnia.
Okay, see ya.